So the state of Illinois, January 10th, approving and enacting a ban on firearms and magazines of certain make and size, including semi-automatic rifles like AR-15s and magazines for handguns over 15 rounds or magazines for rifles over 10 rounds. So you've got that in place, and it's been challenged, still pending in federal courts as well as even in state courts. But part of that law was the registry for those firearms owned before January 10th. And the window for that registry opens coming up October 1st. The deadline to register is January 1st. And if you don't register and you're found out of compliance, then you are to essentially face criminal penalties ranging from a Class A misdemeanor to a Class 3 felony. So obviously this is something that is of concern for a lot of people as we await for the Seventh Circuit Court of Appeals to determine what the outcome of the state's firearm ban is going to be. But with the registry set to open, people asking questions about the Fifth Amendment. And is that going to be brought up as a challenge? Because the Fifth Amendment says you're not to incriminate yourself or be forced to incriminate yourself. So let's look at those rules officially now filed in the Illinois Register. If you're not familiar with this, it's a rolling register of rules and administrative issues, emergency rules and whatnot. And it's, again, a rolling register. You can see here the most recent one issued this morning. It's pages 13,743 through 14,076. So this is a rolling publication. Let's go ahead and search for police, and we'll be able to find where the state police have their rules for the Firearm Owner Identification Card Act. And they deal with a variety of things when it comes to the Firearms Owner Identification Card Review Panel. But you've also got emergency rules for the state police when it comes to the Gun and Magazine Registry. So let's go ahead and take a look at the ongoing list here of the different types of endorsement affidavit documentation that are going to happen here. And obviously, if you own these firearms, you're going to want to brush up on all of the definitions in these emergency rules that are filed, and what they deem an assault weapon. And that means a firearm, according to these emergency rules, that meets the definition of an assault weapon as set forth in the law, including but not limited to those set forth in Appendix A as required by the law. It goes on to spell out even more rules. What an endorsement affidavit means an affidavit electronically executed. So no paperwork here. It's going to be all via computers through the online FOID FCCL system that registers an assault weapon attachment, 50 caliber rifle or 50 caliber cartridge with the Department of Illinois State Police as required by law. Goes on to have more definitions, having possessed such items prior to January 10th. I think this is important for those of you looking for, what about Freedom Week, when the Southern District Federal Court put a preliminary injunction in place? That's 6 days. Are those allowed to be possessed? Well, here the Illinois State Police have their emergency rules. Having possessed such items prior to January 10th means persons who possess one of the prohibited items under the Act as the result of a sale or transfer with a background check initiated with the department on or before January 10th, where the sale of the transfer was completed after the date purchased, according to the law. So this here seems to really just spell out that no, during Freedom Week in April, whenever you were able to go purchase a firearm that meets these definitions, that's not going to count. But it goes on to more so talk about different definitions, who's exempt, the list of the firearms that are going to be required to be ultimately registered, and again, the exemptions of those who don't need to register, police officers, qualified law enforcement officers, and retirees. You've got prison wardens and superintendents and keepers of correctional institutions that don't have to comply with this, except for if they have a privately owned firearm that's not used. they'll have to register that. Other exemptions, you've got Olympic target shooters, non-residents who transport an assault rifle or assault weapon attachment to any other place where the non-resident may lawfully possess them. So non-citizen of Illinois, non-residents of Illinois, rather, don't have to register these. Goes on. All of these rules are emergency rules. They are in place now. So October 1st is when this opens up. Now, the affidavit. So this is where it spells out what the affidavit is going to say. An affirmation that the person filing it possessed an assault weapon attachment before January 10th, 2023, or inherited such items, that you moved to Illinois January 10th, or you're filing an endorsement affidavit voluntarily. I'm curious what happens if people fill out the affidavit but don't check this, that it's being filed voluntarily. So that's an interesting phraseology there, an endorsement affidavit voluntarily. Under the penalty of law, facing a Class A misdemeanor for the first offense or a Class 3 felony for subsequent offenses. So, it goes on. Again, these are emergency rules filed, and they are in place. You've got the Joint Committee on Administrative Rules that's going to have a hearing, likely touching on these things on October 17th, I believe. So that's just in a couple of weeks. But October 1st is when the emergency rules are in effect. They're opening the window for the gun registry in Illinois, and the registry closes on January 1st. And if you don't register by then, you could face criminal penalties. So just wanted to get you that update as we head into the weekend, the final weekend of September, and October 1st is just around the corner. You want to review those rules. Just search Illinois Register, and you'll be able to find where you can see all of this printed out in that just massive document that's thousands and thousands of pages long. So if you want some good reading with your morning coffee, you can check that out. Again, the 2023 Illinois Register, Rules of Government Agencies, Volume 47, Issue 39. So I'll link to this on the YouTube channel. All right, it is Springfield's Morning News on WMAY. Follow me anywhere. Just search Bishop on Air.